Hey folks, it's us, podcasting wonderkins John Bishop and Lucas Southworth.
Although this is a podcast about cars, it is not age appropriate for the target demographic of these films, as we usually end up talking about the reproductive organs of Lightning McQueen.
Alright, now let's take a look under the hood.
Hello, I'm John Bishop.
And I'm Lucas Southworth.
Welcome to the Chat.
Folks, it's the only podcast brave enough to ask the question.
Hey, what's up with cars? Alright, so Lucas, what are we talking about today?
John, I'm so glad you asked. We are talking about the word fantasy in Carsverse. But
which
further
brings
than
me
that,
to my
the
question
subject.
from Liz.
Okay.
Question from Liz. Ooh, what kind of fantasy?
You've got a point. I was here when this question was asked, and I believe as we said it to her was, I don't know, like King Arthur, castles, dragons, fairy tales?
Yes.
Did I miss anything?
Maybe. Wizards.
There we go. Magic.
Magic.
Yeah, so that's it. That's what we're talking about.
Alright, so we're
Yeah.
talking about fantasy in the Cars universe. Are we talking about fantasy in the sense that, oh, this is a world where anything can happen? Everyone's cars. There are dragons, there are knights probably, because everyone's cars. And that makes sense because it's a fictional world. Are we talking about what would that look like in this universe?
Well, I think we could do a little column A, little column B. Say, like, what if this actually happened? And just also be like, I mean, it didn't happen in our world that we know of, so what would, like, their stories about it be like? I think, at the end of the day, that's going to be very similar. So I think we can just sort of do both, or do neither, and you all can choose which one you want to interpret it as.
All right, let's talk about something a little bit easier to just conceptualize. Probably get out of the way. Dragons probably aren't that scary in this universe, right? Because like planes exist. They have dragons. They just don't breathe fire.
I remember we talked about dragons in like an episode not too far back.
I believe we said they were zeppelins.
Yes, because there's fire involved in the flying of zeppelins, and we made the comment of, yeah, this was literally last episode. Yeah, okay. We made the comment of, yeah, it would not be very hard to slay a dragon, because
Absolutely.
zeppelins and dirigibles and the like are not that hard to take down when it comes down to it.
Yeah, blimps a little bit harder just because it's not hydrogen, but even still, it's gonna be rough. Your whole thing is, I need this balloon to not be popped. Boy howdy, you can pop a balloon. Alright, so it's not hard to slay a dragon in the Cars universe.
Yes, if they are in fact dirigibles / zeppelins / blimps, which, I don't know, that was pretty good when I said that last time, and I like when I'm right about these things, so yeah. Do you have any sort of addition, any sort of new theory?
Well, if we're going for like King Arthur, I feel like that changes the entire context of the King Uther, because the idea is that King Uther is King Uther Pendragon, the slayer of dragons who saved humanity and defeated magic. But if it's really easy to kill all the dragons, who's going to think you're a hero? You just killed a bunch of beautiful creatures in the sky that were easy to kill. I'm gonna have a hard time rooting for King Arthur and his wonderful court if, like, oh yeah, I killed a bunch of beautiful large birds.
Yeah, I guess we would. Maybe they're like blimps, like very steampunky blimps, in like, you know, those stories in which people are like, what if World War II had happened, but it was like super steampunk, and they like always have like cool blimps that like shoot people with guns and whatnot. So I don't know,
Interesting.
maybe they're like that.
Do we think guns were a thing in the Dragons? Because I'm willing to believe it, because there are super spies in this world, and there are boats and all that jazz, and all of them have built-in weapons. So I'm willing to believe that having built-in weapons is a thing that some creatures have just always had.
That would make them certainly more like mythical and feared, like especially if like uh the common folk couldn't wrap their head around like what was happening. So it would seem magical, like same way we come back to like the like 804 AD and with like a machine gun, people would be like, "Oh, well, that's a magic."
Yeah, I don't remember the quote exactly or who said it, but the quote is something along the lines of magic is just science we don't understand yet. And I think that really applies in the Cars universe. It's just, well, they had guns before they knew what guns were, and those guns were attached to giant dragon blimps.
Now that man, we do this every time, but Cars 5, a car lost in time, I would oh man. Wait, I can do this.
Okay,
A, no, I got it. I got it. A
I'll give you
Connecticut,
time.
a, a Connecticut, yay, no, a Connecticut van key in King Arthur's court. That was nothing. Let's keep going.
Okay, can you look at my name real quick and give that another go?
No, I saw that, but I don't know, man.
A Connecticut
I'm
Yankee
not. I'm
in
not.
King Arthur's court.
See, that sounds like you're just like you can only say words if they have a "k" sound at the beginning of them because you do three in a row and you sound like an idiot,
Aww.
John.
Wow, okay. So we're gonna do the good old Transformers 4 or 5, one of them, where we just, oh look, there are Transformer dragons and Transformer everything, because why not? I could be okay with that.
Yeah, works for me, man.
But I will bring us back to another thing we discussed in another episode, and it was something along the lines of, what if all of the things that are like semi sentient are exactly the same amount of technology or biology? It was, we were talking about like spaceships that were bio spaceships and they were semi sentient and that
Uh huh.
sort of thing. What if dragons are just dragons?
Okay.
Like cars exist
Okay.
and then there are just dragons.
Yeah.
King Arthur, King Uther, both still heroes.
I do like the idea of dragons just for no reason being regular dragons in the Carsverse.
Just regular dragons and cars having to fight them. That's kind of beautiful.
Yeah, and as we discussed in our combat episode, uh, early combat would just, be the cars ramming into it.
Yeah.
So, no, this makes it much better for me
Mhm.
if it's just the cars desperately trying to ram into the dragon at high speeds.
And King Uther is the one that somehow survived ramming himself into a dragon.
Yeah, lots of cars have slain dragons. It's not
No,
that it's still even if they're regular dragons, it's not that hard. It's just, surviving the collision that is
yeah.
the impressive part.
You don't get to be king because you kill a dragon. You get to be king because you survive killing a dragon.
Also, I've let it go like several times. Why are you pronouncing King Arthur that way? Is that like the original pronunciation or something?
Oh, King Arthur is the son of King Uther. King Uther is the one who like hated magic.
Sure.
So like they're different. They're just different people.
Okay. Cool. That's good to know going forward. Turns out I don't know a lot about the Knights of the Round Table when it comes down to it.
Did,
Merlin, Morgana, I know those two.
did you know that there was one named Gawain?
I think I did for some reason.
Do you want to know how I knew that there was one named Gawain?
John, more than anything, please tell me and the listeners.
I watched this wonderful little show. It was very informative. It's called Code Geass, and it's a mech anime, and someone just happened to name a few of the mechs after King Arthur's court, and one of them was Gawain. And I was really confused as to why someone would name it Gawain, and I looked it up, and it was just a knight. And it was supposed to be like, oh, this one's Lancelot, and this one's Gawain, and they're enemies, but that's kind of silly.
Yeah.
Which brings me to another
Sure.
point.
Yeah.
What if dragons were just mechs? Just like big old,
Okay.
like Gundams?
Like the Zords.
Absolutely.
Aren't the Zords like dinosaur shaped? It's been a minute since I've thought about Power Rangers.
It depends on the Zords. They're based on different things, but the original, like Mighty Morphin, were specifically Dino Zords.
And wait, I can do that. There was one that they brought in later who was the Dragon Zord, yes?
Yes, that was the Green
Nice.
Ranger, and he had the Dragon Zord. And then there was like Tommy became the White Ranger. And I'm gonna be real,
Sure.
I don't get exactly what his thing was after that because like I think he was just like a white tiger or saber tooth tiger, but he wasn't saber tooth tiger because that was the Yellow
Yeah,
Ranger. So
that
I
was a
don't
yellow
really
one.
get it. Yeah, it was really weird because like it was some sort of cat or lion, not a dinosaur, and Saba, his dagger flute, was like
Sure,
definitely some
yeah.
sort of cat, and it was real weird.
Tommy, White, Ranger, Zord. Fantastic. Tiger Zord is what it says.
But there,
The White Tiger Zord.
okay, so here's an albino tiger. Okay,
Sure, why not?
was he still? No, wait, he was like the Falcon after the movie. I
We have
watched that
eclipsed my
movie.
knowledge of the Power Rangers
I watched
very.
that movie a lot as a child.
I was
Uh,
happy when I said, no, the Sabretooth is the yellow one. And that was about the ceiling of my knowledge of Power Rangers.
yeah, it was very good. You did great.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I wanted a little more recognition, I will admit.
All right, I'll give you
So, yeah.
100 points if you can name the Yellow Ranger, the original Yellow Ranger.
Oh, there's just no way in hell. No, I have no
Okay,
earthly idea.
Trini.
Sure, yeah, whatever I had guessed would have been like Beatrice or like a real name. So
Bartholomew.
yeah, something like that.
All right. So magic. What would magic look like? I would assume it'd be mostly the same, but like, also, how could it be different? Like, a lot of the times, a magic user casts and their hands like shoot fire or energy out of it. Are we talking
Yeah,
tires?
yeah, I would think like any sort of incantation they could still do, obviously, because they can talk. We know this much about the cars, but I think any sort of motion would have to just be done with. I don't want it to have be done with their tires, but like the alternative is their tongue, I guess, or like some like they turn on their blinkers or headlights or windshield wipers or something, and I
It
don't like
could.
any of those anymore. So I'm gonna say the tires.
All right. So who do we think are gonna be the wizards? Because modern day wizards are probably just like scientists. That's our wizard, right? So like I imagine it's the people who are the scientists and engineers in the Cars universe. So like Merlin would probably just be a forklift.
Yeah, we gosh, we get there every episode. It's almost a cop out at this point, us saying, and I guess they would be, I don't know, forklift?
Yeah, it's a very upsetting thing to think about, but it kind of fits. Merlin's not supposed to be this big imposing guy, so if he has a smaller vehicle that works.
And I do want to mention, I remember, I distinctly remember in our Cars 2 episode when we talked about Mater's like magic. Well, I just used it then. Mater's like disguise machine
Hmm,
that was basically magic
absolutely.
that had no way of being scientifically possible that we know of.
Mhm.
So I'm pretty comfortable calling that literal magic
You
that we have
know,
seen in the Carsverse.
that's fair, that's fair. So maybe it's specifically tow trucks. Maybe tow trucks were the wizards.
Okay. And I remember we said okay, I'm really just going through the episodes in my mind now. We said that it was so powerful because it was given to him by the train who supplied them, and it was since he was a train, he was a god or demigod, so it was a god's boon, is why it was magical.
Ah, it's a god's boon, which means that
Yes.
he's either
Man,
a paladin, a cleric, or if instead of God we think of it as some sort of fiend, we could say he's a warlock with a pact.
Yeah, I mean, we could, if we wanted to, say Mater is a warlock who
Has
has
sold
a
part of his
pact with
soul to a train.
to a train who's in like I don't know, maybe a minute and a half of Cars 2.
Who we have declared
So,
is some sort of demigod at least.
man, we've said some stuff in this show, huh?
Uh huh.
They just let us do this.
They really do. America.
It's the land of the something.
It's the land of the
Uh,
podcast and the home of the people who shouldn't be making podcasts.
well, John, we're mid-20s white men. We legally do have to have a podcast. So
Good
there's
point. Good
that.
point. We would be taxed very heavily if we didn't.
Yeah, it's real. You know, it comes down to this is all a tax break for us. It's
Absolutely.
never been about you. That's
It's
pretty, you know,
it's been about
that
the
you would
people who
think that.
control us, and that's definitely Disney Pixar.
Yes, Disney wants us to do this.
It's not even necessarily that they want to. It's just they can't let us not do it if they're going to require everyone else to do it. So they just kind of have to have us do it. It's just
Yeah.
out of fairness. All
Yeah.
right, so we've got that. Though we could bring in the demigods, the fantasy dragons are dragons. There are the demigods who. So is Hercules a train? Maybe.
Okay, Hercules was the son of Zeus and a mortal, so he's half trained.
Now
Huh.
what exactly would be half a train?
Now, John, I'm racking my brain here.
Maybe
Okay.
maybe like a trolley?
You know, I honestly, I don't think we're gonna come up with anything better than that. So I'm pretty comfortable saying trolley or streetcar or something like that.
All right, so he's some sort of strange trolley that could perform the labors and was super powerful for reasons I can't really explain, but who really could? All right, so we've got demigods, we've got all that jazz, and we've got wizards that can cast with, or we've got warlocks at least. Wizards could
Yeah.
probably be something similar. I imagine, like, okay, so like, what about a fire truck? They're like water benders. They have water magic.
Sure.
All right, that's something.
Uh, I want to talk about often with magic, you have like very intricate, like not even hand movements, but preparations. Like you make a potion, you got to like do all this very intricate work. You have to draw like very intricate runes in the ground. I bring this up only to say if they did do that, I think the runes would be very much bigger because they would have to just drive and like drift and do donuts to make the runes, and I think that's fun.
Instead of runes, I imagine it would just be like crop circles.
Yeah, that's what I was imagining. Like that
Yep.
size, but maybe they just like I don't know. Well, I want them to still be drawn, so I want them to have to like run over some paint every once in a while. Probably very often, actually. The paint that would wear off really quick.
I don't know. What if they had those like weird backpack things that instead of paving roads, they would just be like filled with paint?
Yes, they could use Bessie, I think, was the road paver, but maybe a lighter version of her. Because like
Mm-hmm.
Lightning, who is very athletic, could very barely pull Bessie.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. That could work for drawing like magic circles and runes and the whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
I like
And
that.
anything spoken's just exactly the same because why wouldn't it be? And what other kinds of magic are there? There's like
There's
symbol drawing, there's spoken hand symbols, which I don't know if we're gonna get into more than it's probably just the forklifts and or mater.
and I think maybe they do have some range of motion on their tires. We talk about that a lot, that they can sort of like walk in a very strange way, and if they for whatever reason don't feel like just rolling up, and they can gesture a little bit. So maybe it's that combined with like they rotate it, like it's like a combination lock on the locker. They
Hmm.
rotate it like forward, three and then back one and then, like that maybe. They would need four-wheel drive to do that.
Absolutely. It's a little bit more like programming. Like there's a lot of aspects of, oh, I'm drawing a rune that are like programming in essence, but I imagine if it's just specific degrees of wheel turn, that's even more so.
Yeah, and if to spin their front tires like that, like I said, they would need four-wheel drive or something like it. So maybe that's innate, where like innate magical ability comes from. How
Hmm.
some people can cast, some people just can't.
Yeah, you have to have four-wheel drive to be a magic user in this universe. Lucas, you're really
Yeah,
helping me with the game that I'm going to have to design for Cars.
I mean, you don't have to design it. I'm
Lucas, I am
not
legally
saying I don't
required.
want it to happen. Okay,
Uh, I just played a good amount of D&D just this very day.
nice. Were you DMing or player?
I was DM.
Mm,
It's a dirty job, but someone's got to do it.
yeah. Now that I'm nowhere near Tucker, I just don't have a group. Oh well. Ah,
Uh,
message me if you want a player in your Dungeons and Dragons group. I would like that.
well, the thing is, we do meet physically.
No, I was talking to the audience.
Oh, to the audience.
We're,
You know what?
yeah,
Same.
yeah, we have a small enough following that like I don't feel uncomfortable doing that really. But we'll say the email and Twitter at the end of the show. Spoiler, it's the name of the show. So if you, I don't know, maybe I don't. I want to play D&D.
Me too.
Well, anyway, cars are cars, but yeah, I didn't have it. I was hoping I would get something there.
All
You
right,
got
so
did that lead you to something?
cars are cars, and
Uh
motorcycles
huh.
are vampires. What if
As you say.
motorcycles are also elves? Because if you think about it, a lot of vampire traits are similar to like elf traits. Like they're these tall, weirdly sexualized, slender, very physically capable, also somewhat magic, oftentimes very magic creatures. I imagine that like motorcycles could very easily be both.
Yeah, and maybe just like there could be a division in like I'm not gonna know the terminology, but you probably will. Like a Harley Davidson type motorcycle versus like the very sleek, sporty motorcycle.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying?
The crotch rocket.
Sure. Versus the chopper, I think is what they call the sort of like more like substantial ones. Does that sound right? I'm out of my
The
depth
big
again.
old handle. Like a Harley is similar to a chopper. A chopper's just like kind of handlebars bigger, slightly different positioning.
Sure, whatever. Uh, so the sort of choppers are those could even be like the dark elf or the drow maybe.
Oh yeah.
Uh, and like I don't know, maybe vampires are there too because I
Oh,
don't know.
definitely
And
the
then
the sports vehicles.
the vampires are the sports ones.
Mm-hmm.
Huh. See, I don't know. I would think like the very sleek, like like athletic-y ones would be like your high elf or your forest elf.
I mean, I couldn't tell you if that's the case, which I would think that they'd be vampires just because like the angularity of the face.
I
Then
can see that. Yeah.
there's the idea of just like racing bikes, like motocross and whatnot. That could be similar to an elf, or that could even be like a fairy, because it's
Sure.
similar to
Why
an elf,
not?
but a little bit smaller, a little bit less intense. I just like the idea of a motorcycle, like a sports bike, could easily be either an elf or a vampire, just because oftentimes those things are strangely similar.
Yeah. Why not? Although I will say I agreed with it initially. I would think, especially because we talk about evolution in I don't know one of the episodes. The motorcycle episode. Yeah. And we decided that like tricycles were at some point sentient. I would think the Fey folk would be like specifically the very like toy like vehicles, like not necessarily every tricycle, but like your big wheel. They would be big wheels and stuff like that. Maybe
See,
even RC cars, but we've said RC cars are so many different things in
hmm
this podcast.
I can go with that. I would think it'd be more like an electric scooter or just electric like vehicles, like the big wheel. That's good. Just I like the idea of it just being, oh yeah, it's just small electric vehicles.
And I mean, they could. Ooh, okay, I got it. Drones.
Ooh,
Drones?
drones are like the pixies that mess everything up.
Yes. So that's
Yes.
definitely some. Yeah, that
Mm-hmm.
I feel good about that. I don't know about the rest, but drones are definitely in the Fey world.
Absolutely.
Gosh,
That's
again,
good.
this is a podcast we do, huh?
All right, so we've got the Fae. We've got elves. What vehicle is gonna be a dwarf?
Okay. Okay. My instinct is construction stuff.
Construction
Like,
stuff?
okay, John, you remember the smoke jumpers from Planes, Fire, and Rescue?
Mm-hmm.
They're even smaller, John.
I can definitely get behind that.
Those are straight up fantasy dwarfs,
Like
and we didn't
super
even know.
capable ATVs. That's good. It's good. All right,
Yeah,
so
like sort of socially weird and very like hands-on work, sort of. Yeah, I like
mm-hmm.
it.
Those are the dwarves. All right, now
Sure.
okay, so I'm guessing like orcs. Those would just be the vehicles that are like thrown together from other parts and just good for like demolition derbies.
Oh man, do you think the demolition derby we've seen was full of orcs?
Well, one of them had their back
John,
snapped and then snapped in the other direction, and they were just a little bit sad. And that screams orc to me.
John, it's becoming more and more possible in my mind that the Carsverse is just a high fantasy story, just hidden behind vehicles. So we just never knew. We just never knew, John. It's been high fantasy this whole time.
Planes are just angels.
Yeah, we've definitely said that before. Gosh.
Yep, this is great.
Okay, well,
All right, what other creatures can we come up with? We got the Fae. We've got okay. So what on earth would a werewolf be other than freaking the plane car?
I mean, you got it, man. I wasn't gonna get there. That's that. It can transform. It's the only thing we know that can transform. I do want to throw out forklifts, gnomes, tinkerers. You know that anything?
The thing is, I really want like the forklifts to just be the like regular humans.
Okay, okay. Then what are the cars?
Oh shoot,
Did you forget about the
the
cars?
forklifts are probably the dwarves.
The dwarves or
Like
the
the forklifts are
gnomes?
probably dwarves. I don't know. I feel like they got to be the dwarves. They build everything.
Yeah, but gnomes are tinkery usually, aren't they?
They're tinkery, but like they're not create an engine heart for you.
No,
They're like,
that
I
feels.
cobbled you some shoes.
And I will admit you know much more about like traditional D&D stuff than I do. But for me the like very like physical like we will clear away this forest stuff feels more dwarf like type work than like sort of like ooh we can
That's very true.
fix this car and like do stuff with this, you know?
Yeah, that's true. But the thing is, gnomes have never been that big of a part of society in any campaign I've ever been involved in.
Well, John, I'm not
And
saying.
forklifts are everywhere.
Well, this is a new setting, John. A setting
Okay, that's
where
fair.
the the most people are humans, and then after that, we got a whole bunch of gnomes running around. We've
Yeah,
never seen
and the
elves.
humans are the cars. We haven't seen the elves, but that's a part of being an elf. You got to be secretive.
All we have seen is the handlebars on the man. Oh gosh, is that an elf's
Oof,
head?
that's probably just like a fae that has been killed.
Oh man. Well, I mean that's not completely out of character for lots of people don't like the fair folk.
Yeah, that's true. All right, so what else can we throw into this? We've got dragons, but those are just dragons.
Sure.
We've got all these wonderful creatures. We've got elves, we've got dwarves, we've got humans, we've got gnomes. Hmm. There are tieflings, but I don't think we can work tieflings into this, and that's specifically if we're going for D&D.
Do we want to get off of race and go to like classes? Because we talked about what a warlock would look like but like, what would a druid?
Mm-hmm.
What would the other ones look like? I only said two,
All right.
but that's okay.
Druid, I think those that would probably be something to do with any vehicle that is for like farming,
Yeah,
but it
okay.
can't be specifically farm equipment because if it's farm equipment, okay, what about crop dusters? Crop dusters could be druids.
But I'm not sure I want to pigeonhole the classes to specific like I don't I want the classes to be available to any of the races, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay. So we've
but
got
I think folks who like farm not obviously farm equip well I can't say the word obviously about anything. Like I was almost about to say well obviously farm equipment is all animals in the Carsverse, but
yeah. Oh boy.
so it can't be the farm equipment. You're right about that, but like I don't know, people like crop dusters who work with the
Mm-hmm.
land. I think are good. Yeah.
So, like crop dusters, that's just specifically a subclass of the druid class.
Yes. That okay. That works for me. But like that would be yeah. Got it. Got it.
All right, and well, for the we've got fighters. That's just anyone that's an army type vehicle.
Yeah.
All right, so we've got that. We've got what would the rogues be? What's a
Huh.
good rogue?
Okay. A rogue. Well, Mater's a barbarian in my mind.
Is Mater not a warlock?
Oh yeah, we said Mater was a warlock. Yep, Mater's a warlock, and that's the only thing we've ever said about it.
Barbarian, I'm definitely thinking the bus from the
Oh, Miss
demolition
Fritter.
derby.
Yeah, Miss Fritter's a
Miss
barbarian.
Fritter, definitely barbarian.
Bards would be the same. Like, yeah, like I don't
Yep.
know. Performance is basically the same. We've seen singing, we've seen
Mm-hmm.
acting. So,
All right, so bards are the same, just any sort of artistic performance. All right, now what are race cars? Like, what are racing vehicles?
yeah, I want those to be their own thing too.
I feel like a race car would probably fit best with like Rogue because it's like a fast, very dexterous vehicle.
Yeah, that's where I was getting to. Okay, Lightning McQueen
Okay.
is a human rogue.
Hmm.
Mater is.
A warlock.
I don't want Mater to be a human. I want Mater to be something. Well, gosh.
All right.
Uh,
He could. All right. What's similar to a human, but not? He's not
he
a
could be a.
half elf.
Yeah, certainly not. No, he could be a tiefling.
Oh, that's good. I like that.
Tiefling
He's a
warlock.
tiefling. And that's great
Oh,
because it gives you charisma, and charisma is the spellcasting.
there you go. Mater's a tiefling warlock. Everybody, sorry about it.
He's a tiefling warlock. All right. Okay, so Doc is like for sure a paladin.
Yeah, human paladin.
Mm-hmm. All
Uh,
right.
Dusty has multi-classed. Dusty
Yeah.
Groundhopper. He's got some druid and some rogue.
All right. Which is
And
why he's so OP because everyone knows multi-classing can do crazy things.
it can, yeah, okay. Man, how fun. Good times. The smoke jumpers are dwarvish. I don't know, I'd call them druids, I guess. They do a lot of foresty stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I feel like Sally is probably a cleric. More focused on law.
I was gonna say something magic based for Sally.
Mm-hmm.
She seems like the intellectual sort of caster.
She's a bit of an intellectual, and at the same time, she's also more of a support.
Yeah, I mean, they certainly don't use her too much, especially after the
Mm-hmm.
original Cars, so a support role would be appropriate for her.
And then there's Dottie, who is like for sure a mechanic, which I'm guessing that would mean something along the lines of a cleric. But at the same time, there is a class called an artificer, and in the artificer class, there is an alchemist. There's a like all these things, and I think that's more accurate. But if we're going more basic, are we thinking cleric or are we thinking like a wizard?
Hmm. See, for the I think his name's Maru from Fire and
Mm-hmm.
Rescue, who magically fixes Dusty. I think
Oh
he's
yeah, he
definitely a
is.
cleric.
No, he's a wizard. He is a wizard who
Yeah.
uses necromancy.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I like that. That's much better. Uh,
Because
But for
he doesn't fix you. He makes you better than new.
yeah, okay, yeah, I hear what you say. I hear that now. Okay, uh, but for Dottie, yeah,
More of a classic cleric.
yeah, I agree. Yeah, yeah. Do we have any sorcerers? What is the difference between a sorcerer and a wizard?
A sorcerer's magic is innate rather than learned. It's they are born with power or something bestows power upon them. It's not that they learn spells and can use spells, it's that they have just like innate ability to do magic.
Okay, okay.
I would say that's pretty much every spy.
Well, yeah, okay, yeah, and
Something
like,
gives them power and it's innate to their bodies, but they don't have to make like a contract with it. And they can alter themselves, they can uh, change the world. They can do cast spells from distances, which I guess would change Mater from a tiefling to a sorcerer. Well, not a warlock to a sorcerer, but at the same time, I think warlock fits him better.
yeah, he's a bit more chaotic than that, you know.
Yeah. Then again, there is wild magic sorcerers.
Ooh, oh, okay. Mater may be a wild magic sorcerer.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with wild magic sorcerer.
Okay, Mater
Okay.
is a tiefling wild magic sorcerer.
Which means like the lemons and the villains in 2, pretty much all of them are warlocks because they use the boon they get from this evil lemon commander and evil scientist to give them the power to explode people. And
Yeah, I was gonna say that.
that's definitely the eldritch blast.
Okay, and I was going to say if we want something for tiefling specifically, the lemons could all be tieflings.
I
They're
don't know, I
like,
still really like Mater being a tiefling.
I'm not sure Mater isn't a lemon when it comes down to it.
He does not leak. He does not need repairs. He's just real rusty. And the thing is,
Okay,
like
so
the lemons,
with the
they're definitely like fiends because they're
okay,
like
they're full.
despised by
Okay,
society. And Mater is viewed as a fiend, even though he isn't one, and that's very tiefling.
okay, so then like the crowd, the rusties thing,
Hmm?
like rusty cars are tieflings in general.
Yep, like super rust decaying cars that aren't lemons are
Cool.
tieflings.
Okay. Well, I feel good about getting all those D and did we miss any like big D&D things?
Uh, there's like half orc. That's a decently big one. It's not huge.
Yeah, I don't
And I
know.
feel like
That's
half orc,
fine.
we could just say again, Miss Fritter.
Oh yeah, duh.
And half orc barbarian. That's just beautiful.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. 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 I love it. We did it. That's
There's also ranger.
okay. I'm gonna actually change. Then yeah, I forgot about rangers. I'm going to change the smoke jumpers to rangers. Then
That's fair. That's fair. I would probably prefer druids for them and just rangers for the rest of the crew,
okay.
but I could go with them all being generally rangers.
So then wait. So Dusty has triple classed then?
Yep.
Okay, Dusty.
He's got he's got levels and everything.
He's got levels in Druid, Rogue, and Ranger, which seems like, I don't know. Seems like at a certain point you're getting diminishing returns on that, Dusty, but what do I know?
Hmm. I mean, he'll never have his level 20 gift, but hey, he's still probably too capable.
Yeah, that's fair.
All right. I like all of that, and we've already established the like gods of this realm. I'm good with all that.
Yeah.
Now let's think about just in general with this sort of thing. There's magic ability, there's like strength, there's dexterity, all that jazz. Do we think they just have the same like basic characteristics? Because charisma, that's easy, just the same. We could have strength be,
Horsepower?
I don't know, it could be horsepower. Dexterity would just be acceleration, I guess.
Yeah, and like handling, I guess, as well.
Mm-hmm. All right. I feel like no acceleration and horsepower probably both be strength, and just like maneuverability would be generally dexterity.
Yes.
Wisdom, intelligence, the same.
Yeah. Constitution.
You know,
The lemons would have very bad constitution.
very, very bad constitution. So like there's armor class and there's constitution, and one of them is based on like, oh, how well do you handle poison, and how sturdy are you, how many hit points are you gonna have, and the other one is how hard are you to hurt.
Mm-hmm.
So like you could be a very armored lemon, so you have a very high AC and a terrible constitution.
Yeah.
All right, and then just magic potions. That's just fuel.
Yeah, there's even we even have seen in it that you can take like performance enhancing fuels. I think that was a plot point in the
Mm-hmm.
first Planes movie. So yeah, that checks out.
All right, so we've got different types of potions or different types of fuels. Like you could have diesel, have all that jazz, and then like a different racer class could be electric type vehicles. So like, ah, I don't use gas. I don't need that sort of potion. I'm like a warforged. I don't need food.
Sure, yeah, works for me.
All right, hybrids probably just warforged.
Yeah, sure. Why not? I feel like a hybrid would be a half something since they are, half
Yeah,
in
true.
real
So
life.
electric cars are the warforged,
Yeah.
and
Oh
yeah,
man, you got me to say
yeah.
hybrids are cyborgs. Okay.
All right, so dragons are dragons. Everything else we've pretty much generally talked about. Let's talk about fairy tales.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Uh,
What is Rapunzel? What's Rapunzel letting down?
okay. Well, John. Okay.
Are we thinking Rapunzel's a tow truck?
Okay. Yeah, that's all I got. I was gonna say maybe some sort of belt, but
Mhm.
that would be more like if Rapunzel cut herself open and let her small intestine out for Flynn Rider, which would be less less good for me. So yes, she's a tow truck.
The most beautiful tow truck.
Yes.
Cinderella. What kind of vehicle is she? What kind of vehicle is her stepmother and her sisters? What's all that
Uh,
about?
so I would say Cinderella. Most important. I honestly, John, I care less about what kind of vehicle she is. She's a car. Uh,
Okay.
does her tire fall off, or a rim, or it would have to be like a rim, right, for
It's
her
got to be
shoe?
a rim
Okay.
because like your older vehicles, the ones that aren't as taken care of, the rims fall off. That's a thing.
No, yeah,
You still
yeah,
drive the car; it's perfectly fine. And she's got burns on her in the original story. That's why she's called Cinderella.
yeah. Her name's Ella, and then they're mean about it.
Mm-hmm. Because they make her sleep by a fire.
I think they literally make her sleep in the fireplace when it's not going, if I remember right, which is
Oh
pretty messed
boy.
up.
Mm.
Uh,
Okay.
update: Liz has texted me. She says Cinderella had very small feet. That's why he was able to find her. So
Yep. So she's got
small
very
wheels.
small wheels with very specific rims.
Yeah, her shoe would only fit her foot. Yeah. Uh, which I don't know. That seems like a good enough transition into the question from Liz.
Hit me with that question from Liz.
I will, John. So she says, and we can go back into these like specifics of like how would this fairy tale go, because that was pretty fun. But she says, how are fairy tales shared? Are they written somehow, or are they shared orally? Which honestly, like, I can. How do they write, John?
With their head. Well.
Because written language is a thing. Like, we see words everywhere, but John,
how 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 do they write? They
uh,
ain't got no hands.
it's,
Uh,
I guess, possible that the written language came about when, like, I don't know, computers came about, but that's pretty insane.
yeah.
That
Okay, so it's gotta be like the giant paint machine, and like they just have to paint everything huge, and that's how stories existed.
And I mean, of course, as always, maybe forklifts is one of our answers.
Yeah, it's probably
But
just
I'm just gonna,
forklifts.
yeah. And who knows how dexterous the John? Who knows what those mouths do? Uh,
Mm. Mm. Okay. 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 Too much. Those mouths do too much.
yes. at a very literal sense, they are too much is expected of them vis-a-vis their mouths.
Mm-hmm. Boy, howdy.
Yeah, like I don't know, man. I I can't in good conscience say, oh well, they just put the pin in their mouth and write that way.
How do you get the pin in the mouth?
Yeah, how do you open the pin? How do you like?
Who puts the pin in your mouth?
Usually, you get very upset about one of their hands, and I'm like, it doesn't matter. But this one's really getting me for some reason because, like, I don't know, they have to be able to write somehow. They do have to be able to write.
The answer is clear.
Uh huh.
Magic.
Okay, they brought it back.
This
You
is
brought it back, Johnny.
this is the episode where I can accept that everything works because this is clearly a high fantasy disguised with cars. And some people just have the ability to use magic, and they do so. And that's how everything exists the way it does. And eventually they like start losing that magical ability, so they have to rely on all of the things that have already been created. But over time, they're going to lose more and more magic users, but we just haven't seen any because they're kind of rare at this point. And that's how this world exists. It's just magic.
Okay, so this is the one episode where we're just going to say, I don't know, magic.
No, this is the one episode where we're going to say, "Oh yeah, it's definitely magic."
Yeah, I feel like we've definitely said in the past, like, I can't think about this anymore. It's probably magic or something. But this is the one where
Yeah.
we're okay with it, is what we're saying, I guess.
This is the one where it should be expected.
Yeah, they write magically. Sure.
Yep. Spell casting.
Hey,
Oh boy.
spell checking. That was nothing.
Spell checks and balances. Huh. That was less of a thing.
Yeah, thank you for doing one that was even less, even
Yeah.
more nothing than mine. Sort of took the heat off of me.
Yep, I try. All right. So, Cinderella, that's not too interesting. A rim falls off, she gets a nice paint job. She doesn't need a ride. I guess she just needs fuel.
Okay, no, I do want to talk about the no. Okay, no, she does have a carriage.
All
A
right.
pumpkin turns into a pumpkin has to turn into something in this story. I'm not letting that go.
Okay, a pumpkin turns into a train.
There it is.
The
Okay,
fairy
all right,
godmother can create gods from pumpkins.
John. That's so much. Okay, I'm glad you said fairy godmother because that's a much better title. I was going to say fantasy for this one,
Mm-hmm.
but how about fairy tales? But it's spelled like the boat fairy. Yeah, like
Yeah.
Ferry tales.
Yeah. Yep. It took me like until I said yeah that like that awkward pause was because I was thinking, how do you spell fairy? How do you spell fairy? But yeah, it
No, no,
works.
no, it's happening. Sure.
All right.
So, her fairy godmother is in fact a fairy. I'm going to.
Mm-hmm.
Cool, fantastic. Well, then, yeah, the Fae. Go back several minutes. The Fae are fairies. They're boats.
The
I
fairies
guess.
are fairies.
Yes. Cool. We got it. Got it in two this time. But
Fairies that can just be on land for some reason.
I mean, they're magic.
Yep, it's magic.
Yeah. This is great. We need to do more that we can do
It's
this with.
magic. Yeah. Oh. Okay. So it's time for a fun fact.
Oh, I forgot about that segment.
Time for a very fun
And
fact.
its sister segment.
The Tesla Cybertruck is going to start at $39,900 for its single motor model, and that is a very good price for what you would be getting.
Sure is an ugly truck, though.
Oh, I love it. It's beautiful. It's like a pug.
Okay, you can think that. I don't think it's a very aesthetically pleasing vehicle, but I'm going to let anyone who does. Obviously, it's a matter of opinion. So cool.
Yeah, but like
It's
you've seen a pug,
yeah,
right?
it's a truck.
That they're hideous, right? But they're
What are you
so
talking
beautiful.
about? Yes, I've seen a pug.
They're
No,
hideous
I know the
and they're beautiful.
analogy you're
That's what
making.
this
There's
truck is. It's a beautiful kind of just like, oh, what is that? Do you know what time it is, Lucas?
the other one.
Time for a not very fun fact.
Got it.
During during the during the presentation, It is likely that the reason the glass broke is due to the fact that it didn't have as much of a similar support that the demonstration glass did. So, due to the fact that they hit it with a mallet first, it could have loosened the glass on both the front and the back window, which would have caused it to loosen, making it rattle more, which would have given it less strength, which could have fractured it, or it could have actually caused it to be pinched a little bit more, which would have caused more rigidity, which would have caused it to fracture more easily because it was more brittle.
If you don't know what John is talking about, Elon Musk unveiled his ugly, ugly truck. Uh, and he was like, "You can't break the windows. Even I did science, so you couldn't break these windows. Here, let me show you." And he like, I don't know how he showed you, but he like threw a rock or something at the window, and it very much broke, and it was very, very good.
See, before that, they had a demonstration of a regular one, and they dropped a steel ball on it, and it just fractured immediately from a very small distance. And then they did it to their glass, and it didn't break. And then they did it from 20 or 30 feet up, and it still didn't break. And then they had the guy come out, and he's like, "Okay, so these doors, super super strong metal." And then he's like, "Okay, now do the glass thing." So he grabs the metal ball and just chucks it at the window, and it just breaks immediately.
It was.
Uh,
I couldn't have planned it to be more comedic. It was very good.
it was even better because then he was like, "You want me to try the other one?" And he said, "Oh yeah, sure." And he did, and it broke too.
Oh, Elon, you did a bad science on this time.
And the only thing Elon could say about it in a positive light was, "Well, it didn't go through, so that's nice."
I don't see us finding a way to work it in naturally at this point in the podcast, as you may be looking at the timestamp. So I'm just going to go ahead and do a fantasy joke for the wiki quote of the day.
Okay, give me that quote of fantasy wiki.
I will. We are going to worldofcarsdrivein.fandom.com/wiki/tg castlenut. I chose him because I had a hard time thinking of, I don't know, search terms to find something fantasy based. And he has the word castle in his name. His name is, again, TG Castlenut. Which, honestly, the fact that there's a car named TG Castlenut could, I feel like, be the wiki quote of the day. But I'll just go ahead and read literally the first two sentences of his wiki quote, of his wiki page, and they are: TG Castlenut is a professional race car who competes in the Piston Cup Racing Series. He is sponsored by Revolting, and his racing number is 48, which is 84 flipped. Can't argue with that.
I mean, that is certainly true.
Like a lot of the wiki quotes, what has happened is they just did not give a context to why that is important. He replaced a car who was number 84, like when Jackson Storm and all them came in. But I like it is not listed anywhere on here. I just had to guess that because it says, later it says he replaces Davy Apex, if you were wondering. It's like, is that what this was about? And it was. But all they say on his wiki page is his racing number is 48, which is 84 flipped, which is very good.
That's so good.
So yeah, that's a character. His name's TG Castlenut.
TG Castlenut. All right. That's a good fantasy wiki quote of the day.
Oh, wait. No, he's not one of the ones who was replaced. Or one of the ones who replaced someone. He was one of the ones that was replaced. So what? He also replaced someone. This is not. I can't do this right now. TJ Castlenut.
All right.
Whatever.
All right, works for me.
Yeah, he's number 48, which is 84 flipped.
Okie doke. Well, I think that's a good place to end, I guess.
Yeah. What can
All
you
right.
say after TG Castlenut?
Um, pretty much nothing.
Yeah,
There's nothing after TG Castlenut.
cool.
All
Well,
right. Well,
uh, thanks for listening. I remember doing a joke earlier where I was like, "Oh, we just do it for a tax break or something." And gosh, I don't remember how we got on that, but that was a lie. We do it because we like to and we really like making content for you guys, and it's fun that you listen to us, so thank you.
all right. Also, earlier in the show, we did mention that if you want us to be in your D&D group,
Yes.
please ask. Uh, and Lucas? Can you give them the accounts they can reach us on?
Absolutely. Our email is thekachat@gmail.com. And if you want to tweet at us or follow us, please do so at thekachat on Twitter. Also, we made a Podchaser page, which I don't really get Podchaser yet. It claims to be the IMDb of podcasts. So I don't know. You can follow us on that. Just search the Kachat, I guess, if you want to do
All
that.
right. And I don't know if you can actually follow on IMDb, but I do have an IMDb page, so there's that. If you
I,
want to try and find me.
I do too, but it's because my friend Casey made me one in my sophomore year of high school for a 5-minute short film we did for a class project. So if you want to find that,
Nice.
you can. I am, in fact, on IMDb. We're gonna
All
end the
right.
podcast now. I'm Lucas,
And I'm John.
and don't forget to float like a Cadillac.
And sting like a beamer.
John, I think that episode was a nat 20.
Robot armies taking over your town. Staring, shaking, stuttering